This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good Erev Shabbos Rabbi, as we prepare for Shabbos Parshas Sisa. The pasuk in Yeshaya says, "Vatoymer Tzion azavani Hashem v'Hashem shcheichani." Tzion says, "God has forsaken me. Hashem has forgotten me," and Hashem responds, "Hasishkach isha ula merachim ben bidna." Can a woman forget her child? Even if a woman could forget her baby, I won't forget you. But the Gemara picks up on the nuance of language. What's gam eile sishkachna? Eile I'll forget, but I won't forget anoichi. I'll forget eile, but I won't forget anoichi. Amazing Gemara. The Gemara says in Brachas, Lamed Beis and Beis, Amar lefanav Ribono shel Olam. God, the Jewish people say before God, since there's no forgetting before your throne of glory. In other words, God, if you don't forget anything, maybe you'll never forget the Egel. And Hashem, if you remember everything, then maybe you're always going to be thinking about the Egel. Amar la, Hashem says no. Gam eile sishkachna. This I'll forget. Says Rashi. What's this I'll forget? I'll forget eile. What does it say by the Chet HaEgel? Rashi says, Ma'aseh Egel shamru eile Elohecha Yisrael. By the Chet HaEgel it says eile. So God says, Gam eile sishkachna. I'll forget the eile. So then Klal Yisrael says, Amar lefanav Ribono shel Olam, ho v'yeshikcha lefnei kisei k'hodecha. If there is forgetting before your throne of glory, Shema tishkach limaisa Sinai, then maybe you'll forget the giving of the Torah. Amar la, ve'anoichi lo yashkachech, but anoichi I'm not going to forget. What's anoichi? Anoichi Hashem loikecha. V'hainu d'am Rav Elazar Rabbi Shia, mai dichsiv gam eila tishkachna. What does it mean God will forget eila zemaiso ega? What does it mean ve'anoichi lo yashkachech? And this anoichi I won't forget zemaiso Sinai. So Rabbi said, Ribono shel Olam is promising us He will forget the Chet HaEgel, but He's also promising us He will not forget Kabbalas HaTorah. So we would like to understand today is why do Klal Yisrael keep on saying, since there's no forgetting before the Kisei HaKavod, maybe you won't forget the Chet HaEgel. So Hashem says, no, this I'll forget. So Klal Yisrael says, if there is forgetting before the Kisei HaKavod, so then maybe you forget Har Sinai. No, this I won't forget. What does the Kisei HaKavod got to do with anything? Let Klal Yisrael say that Hashem, if you don't forget, then you're not going to forget the Egel. If you forget, you'll forget Har Sinai. Why do we keep on saying if there's no forgetting before the Kisei HaKavod? What's the Kisei HaKavod got to do with anything? It's not the Kisei HaKavod that's remembering or forgetting. It's Hashem. It should say Ho v'yein shikcha lefanecha. So maybe you'll never forget about the Chet HaEgel. Ho v'yesh lefanecha. Why the Kisei HaKavod? And Rabbi say, what does one thing got to do with the other? Because Hashem will forget the Chet HaEgel, so maybe He'll also forget Har Sinai. What does the Chet HaEgel got to do with the giving of the Torah? Well, what are we saying? Hashem, well, if you forget the Chet HaEgel, then maybe you'll also forget the giving of the Torah. What does the giving of the Torah have to do with the Chet HaEgel? Why would the fact that Hashem forgot the Chet HaEgel have to do with the giving of the Torah? Oh, these questions? Yeah. I don't know. They got to give us some space, you know? So the pasuk says in Parshas Vayetze, Vayikatz Yaakov! And Yaakov got up. Yeah? That's a very important pasuk to remember. And Yaakov got up. Mishanasai from his sleep. Vayomer, and he said, Achein yesh Hashem b'makom hazeh. Behold, there is God in this place. V'anoichi lo yadati, and this I did not know. And we've said over in the past from Rav Shamshon Me'ashtapolya. Rav Shamshon Me'ashtapolya says a gavaldik remez. We know there are 4 figures on the Kisei HaKavod. What are they? The Navi Yecheskel tells us. Look in number 6. This is Yecheskel Yud Yudalet. V'arba fanim liyachad. There are 4 faces. Pnei ha'echad, pnei hakrov. One face is a cherub. one of the kruvim. Pnei hasheni, what? Kruvim. A kruv, a cherub. Pnei hasheni pnei adam. One was an adam. Yeah? V'hashlishi pnei aryeh. One was a lion. V'haravi pnei nesher. And one was an eagle. Now this adam, which person, what man was it? Which man is on the kisei? We know one is a kruv, one is an adam, one is a lion, one is an eagle. Who's the adam? So, let's see further. The pasuk says, Yaakov had a dream. Right? Vayach Elohim. V'hinei sulam mutzav artza v'roishay magia hashamayma v'hinei malachei Elohim oilam v'yardim boy. They're going up and down in him. Says the Gemara in Chulin, Tzadik Alpha and Beis, Tana, oilen u'mistaklim b'driyukna shamayla. They went up and looked at his image above. V'yardim u'mistaklim b'driyukna shamayla, and they went down and looked at the image below. Whose image? Says Rashi, Partzuf Adam Sheba'arba Chayos B'dmus Yaakov. So the Malachim went up, they saw Yaakov in the heavens. They went down and they saw Yaakov lying down on the Harabayas. The upper Yaakov, the lower Yaakov. Right? So who's the Adam on the Kisei HaKavod? Yaakov. So let's talk about the four people on the Kisei HaKavod, the four faces. The Kruv. Yaakov is the Adam, the Nesher, and the Aryeh. So the pasuk says, Achein yesh Hashem b'makom hazeh. Yaakov says, I knew about the Achein, the Aryeh, the Kruv, and the Nesher. V'anoichi lo yadati, but I didn't know I was there. Achein yesh Hashem b'makom hazeh, says Reb Shamshon Ashapaliya. Achein, I knew Achein was on the Kisei HaKavod. Who's the Achein? Ari, Kruv, Nesher. V'anoichi, but you can say it like this: the Ari, Kruv, Nesher, Yaakov. Anoichi stands for Ari, Nesher, Kruv, Yaakov. Lo yadati, I didn't know about all four. Or v'anoichi, that I didn't know about. You hear the two ways of saying the remez. V'anoichi, I didn't know I was there. Or v'anoichi, v'Ari, Nesher, Kruv, Yaakov, that I didn't know. That is the famous vart of Reb Shamshon Mashapali. We have it on the sheet from the Sefer Pninim Yikarim. He writes Reb Shimon Ashtapoler. His name was not Shimon, but anyway, but he got the vart right. That Ki Yaakov Avinu Olav Hashem Ka'es Al Yidei Mara Hasulam Shara Kisei Kavoda Yisbarach. He saw the Kisei HaKavod. Noida, he sees Shegam Tzurasei Chakuka BeKisei Kavoda Yisbarach, that his image is on the Kisei HaKavod. Imagine if you're Yaakov Avinu, right? There are three Yaakovs, or even just in this room. Yeah? Imagine Yaakov Avinu. He's sleeping on the Harbais. He wakes up. He sees the Kisei HaKavod. He sees himself on the Kisei HaKavod. He says, Achein yesh Hashem. I knew about the Ari, Kruv, Nesher, v'anoichi. I didn't know I was there. Rabbi said, let's take this further. Because in fact, are these the four images on the Kisei HaKavod? But the pasuk says in Yecheskel and Yada that we read, it was who? Kruv, Adam, Aryeh, Nesher. But in the beginning of Yecheskel, it says it was a different four images. Take a look in number 10. Ubenus udemos pneim, pnei Adam, that's good. Pnei Aryeh, that's good. Upnei Shor, an ox. Upnei Nesher. Which one is out? The Kruv. So here in Yud Yudalid, it has a Kruv, a cherub. In Aleph Yud, instead of the cherub, it's an ox. So the Gemara in Chagiga, on Yud Gimel Amud Beis, we didn't get up to there yet. Right? But it asks the stira. The Gemara says, Kosav echad oimer udmurus pneim, pnei Adam, pnei Aryeh, el hayamin, li'arbasam, upnei shar, mei asmael, li'arbasam. By the way, just pay close attention. Who's on the right side? The Adam. Who's on the left side? The ox. Uchsiv, and there's another pasuk in Yud Yadad, v'arba panim li'achad, pnei ha'echad, pnei ha'kruv, pnei ha'sheni, pnei Adam, v'ha'shlishi, pnei Aryeh, v'ari pnei Nesher, v'ilu shar loy kachashiv. What happened to the ox? Amar Reish Lakish. Yecheskel bikesh olav rachamim. Yecheskel davened to God. And he said, God, don't keep the ox on your kisei hakavod. This is not going to be good. Get the ox off.
Who's saying that to Hashem?
Yecheskel Hanavi. Yecheskel said, get the axe off. Bikesh olav rachamim. He davened v'havchoy lekruv. And Hashem changed it to a kruv. Why? What's his problem with the axe? Hashem, if you're going to see on the kisei hakavod, the egal, you're always going to be thinking about the chet ha'egal. Amar lefan ribosham, katego yasas hanegar. Right? What's the kisei hakavod supposed to be? The defense for Klal Yisrael. And every time you look at it, you're going to see the egal. Ribanisham, katego yasas hanegar. Fine. So therefore, instead of an axe, get rid of the axe. Throw the egel off the kisei hakavod. Now the Gemara asks, "My kruv, what is a kruv?" Amar Rabbi Avo, kravya. Shekem Ravava, currently yanuka ravya. A kruv is a child. So instead of the axe, put a child. So Gemara asks, why would you need but there's already a person on the kisei hakavod. Why would you need another person? Gemara asks, Amalei Rapavla Abai Elamayata. D'chsib pnei acha pnei akruv pnei Hashem pnei Adam. Avshish pnei Ari pnei Asher. Hainu pnei kruv hainu pnei Adam. Why would you need an Adam and a child? They're both people. Says Gemara, Ape Rav Ravi v'Ape Zotri. One is an adult and one is a child. An adult and a child, they're different things. The Adam is an adult, and the Kruv is a child. So Rabbi said, we're seeing from this Gemara, Mamish a davar half of a fella, that it used to be that there was an Egal Wat on the Kisei HaKavod, and Yecheskel Hanavi prayed. He said, God, this is not going to work if you're always thinking about the Chet Egal. Get rid of the ox and supplant it, transfer it for a kid, and this way you won't be thinking about the Chet HaEgal. Rabbi Sai, let's take a look at Rashi.
The question is, though, when Yaakov, that was before Yecheskel, and the initials don't work out.
Okay, good point, very good point. Rashi says, why was Yecheskel davening? He said, Anu tzrichin sheyivakshu merkavaisecha aleinu. We need your merkava, your throne to as a beseeching of mercy. V'hashar kategarhu. Kategar soine. What Rashi says, a kategar is a accuser. What is a kravya? A tinaik. Why do we need, the Gemara asks, a kruv and an adam? They're both people. And the Gemara says, ape ravravi, ape zutri. One ha'echad pnei gadol, v'ha'echad pnei katan. So Rabbi say, let's just think for a moment. What was Yecheskel's problem? Yecheskel's problem was, God, if on your kisei hakavod there's going to be an image of an axe, you're always going to be reminded of the Chet HaEgal. So how does it help to transfer it to a child? So you say, what do you mean? At least God will not be thinking about the Egel anymore because it's not on the kisei hakavod. The Parsha says a very interesting thing regarding the transfer of the ox to a child. It says in Parsha, look at number 13. Lefi shemalachim, because the angels, v'chol tzva shamayim, and all the heavenly hosts, oimdin lefanav yisbarach baruch, stand before God. Yesh ma'iminim melamdin schus b'dina shel adam. There are those who are on the right side and look for merit. V'yesh masme'ilim, and there are those on the left side, melamdim choiva, who accuse. K'mefurish kol zeh b'nevuas Michiel li'achav. V'hachanami, these four images on the kisei hakavod, Hanach Dalet Chayos, Yesh Melamdim Schos Mimin. Who are on the right side? The Adam and the Aryeh are on the right side. Elayimin. Aval Gab Pnei Ashar, Pnei Ashar is small. The ox was on the left side. The Hainu Melam Chayva. So Yecheskel said, do me a favor, Yibban Shalom. 2 against 2 is a very close call. If you transfer the ox to a kruv, which is also like an Adam, it will be now 3 against 1. 3 on the right and 1 on the left. Ya'alkein bikesh Yecheskel rachamin. V'hafka lekruv shu gamkein suras Adam, shivakesh gamkein rachamin al Yisrael. Shenikra Adamatem. But Rabbi said, let's try to explain a little bit deeper, and we'll get to your point in a minute. And that is, why specifically a child? Why specifically a child? So you need 3 on the right, so get another Adam on there. Get Yaakov and Moshe on there. Why a child? What's the remez of the child on the kisei hakavod? In other words, think of it like this.
There's no chet.
The shar is being transformed into a child. Why a child? Gewaldic.
He's innocent.
Gewaldic. The Gemara says in Masechet Avodah Zarah that really Klal Yisrael should not have sinned with the Egel. What does it mean? Sure, of course they shouldn't have. Should have, could have, would have, right? No, really, they really would not have. They really would not have. Hashem made them do it, so to speak. Really, we had the fortitude to overcome the temptation. But Hashem sort of didn't protect us from the sin. Why? The Gemara says in Avodah Zarah, Daf Dalet and Beis, number 14, Shiur ben Levi, Lo Yasu Yisrael Egel, Klal Yisrael only did the Egel, Ela Litain Pischa and Peh Lebalei Tshuva. To be able to give an opening, an inspiration to Balei Tshuva. Shenemar, Miyitain V'hayel Vamzel Lahem Lior. In other words, really, we shouldn't have sinned. We wouldn't have sinned. But God wanted us to sin so that every time Balei Tshuva think to themselves, could we recover from this Avera? Klal Yisrael has always been perfect. We're the first to sin. So we tell them, no. Klal Yisrael, they also sinned before and they pulled themselves up from it. You could do the same thing.
But I thought the Jewish people have their own choice
free will.
Which way? Right.
Even though we always have free will, nevertheless, it seems over here that the opportunity of free will was limited when it came to the Chet HaEgel. That's what the Gemara tells us, right? A Pella. The Gemara says that normally, right, we believe that Bechira Chavshis.
Right.
Nevertheless, over here, God allowed us to sin, so to speak. Look at number 15. Rashi says,
don't we learn that?
David also. So Gemara says one is the Yachid, one is the Rabbim. David teaches, right? Noam HaGever Hukam Ol HaTshuva. David HaMelech taught individuals how to do tshuva. The Egel taught the Rabbim how to do tshuva. That's the Gemara continues. But
don't we say though Nechiu Hayu Avosein Avod of the Avodah Zarah? Don't we learn it from there?
No, the Gemara doesn't learn it from there. Okay, right? Okay. That's a good point. Look at over 15. Lo Yasu Yisrael Egel Kalaimar. Gibayrim, they were mighty. V'shalitim beyitzram hayu, they ruled over the Yetzer. V'lohaya roi lehiskaber yitzram aleim. Really, the Yetzer should not have ruled over them. Elexeras melech haisa. It was a decree of the king. Lish light bum kedei litain pischein pat lebalei tshuva. Shem yomer hachoite. If a sinner says lo yashuv, I can't do tshuva shelo yikableni, God will never receive me and take me back. Oimrim lei, nah, it's been done before. Bigger and better have fallen, bigger and better have come back. So, I saw in the Sefer Likutei Ma'amarim, Shvila Pinchas by Pinchas Friedman. So, we quote him pretty often. He says a beautiful thought, and that's what Rabbi Baruch was suggesting also. That why is the shar being transferred into a kruv, into a child? Because we know when a person does tshuva, they're like a beria chadasha, they're like a new creation, they're a clean slate, right? They're wiped free, they're innocent. Like the Yaakov Shemaini says, we have on the sheet number 16, that the Balei Tshuva are called the Am Nivra, the generation that was created. And the Chazal tell us that when you do Tshuva, Hashem creates you as a Beria Chadasha. Now he says it al pi darkei, but what we're saying is that perhaps the Tefillah of Yechezkel was Ribbono Shel Olam. If you're going to have the Egel on the Kisei HaKavod, you're always going to be thinking about it, then it's always going to be a kitrug. You know what you should have on the Kisei HaKavod? The child. Think of it, Hashem, as if they never did the sin. Think of it as if they're completely innocent. There should be no remnant. Think of it like them as a Beria Chadasha, like the Shaloi Chatu Miyamav. So here, once upon a time, Rabbi Isai, what was on the Kisei HaKavod? The shar. And yet Yechezkel says, no. There is no shar. We never sinned with the Egel. We did Tshuva, and it's wiped away. Now instead of the Egel, it's a Kruv. So let's come back to the other point you made. And that is, Yaakov Avinu, when he sees the Kisei HaKavod, what four images does he see? Ari, Nesher, Kruv, Yaakov. Why is he not seeing the shar? Why is God only showing him the Kisei HaKavod after Yechezkel Tefillah? Why didn't he get a glimpse of it before? At least there should be a remez in this pasuk to the way the Kisei HaKavod looked before.
The answer is that before the Chet HaEgel there was a kruv.
There was a kruv also.
Yeah, there was only after the Chet HaEgel there was a shor. Yecheskel is asking that it goes back to the original.
Go back to original. Okay, perhaps, but why would God put on the Kisei HaKavod a reminder of the Chet HaEgal? Right, you would think the reason the Shar is there is not because of the Chet HaEgal, but rather maybe Yosef or maybe other things the Shar represented. Rabbi Sai, so the Sefer Likutim Amarim brings a Mamish, a Remez Nifla also, and that is, of course, Hashem showed him both. Hashem showed him both Kiseis. Yaakov Avinu says, Achein Yesh Hashem. What's Achein? Ari, Kruv, Nesher. But he didn't just say Achein Yesh Hashem. He said Achein Yesh. You know what Achein Yesh stands for? Achein Yesh is Aryeh, Kruv, Nesher, Yaakov, Shar. So Hashem did show him both. So this is really a beautiful added noifech from Rav Pinchas Zara. In other words, he did show him. We always say over the Vart from Rav Shamshon Rashapalia, Achein, there is Achein I know about, Ari Kruv Nesher. But Anochi, no, he said Achein Yesh. Look, he says like this, Achein Yesh. I see all 5 images right now, Rebbeinu Shalom. I see the Ari, the Kruv, the Nesher, I see Yaakov, I see the Shar. I see the Kisei HaKavod before the Chet HaEgal with the Shar. I see it after the Chet HaEgal, after the Tshuva, with the Kruv. I see it all. But I never knew, I never knew I was there. I never knew I was one of the images. Okay. Rabbi Sai. So, we can add a little bit. We're saying to God, God, if you don't forget anything, we don't just say, if you don't forget, you're going to remember the Chet HaEgal. We say, God, there's no shikha before your Kisei HaKavod. Why do we mention the Kisei HaKavod? Because the Egel was on the Kisei HaKavod. So you say, Baruch, you'll never forget something that's on the Kisei HaKavod. So Baruch said, yeah, Gamela Sishkachna. I forgot that. You know why? Because it ain't there anymore. Yecheskel Davened. He transferred the Shar into a Kruv. So you're right, there's nothing, I don't forget what's on my Kisei HaKavod. But that's, if it's there, if it's not there, so what you don't see can't hurt you, right? In other words, we say, look, look at your throne, there's a Shar there. No, there's no Shar there anymore. Yecheskel Davened, he removed it. So we say, if that's the case, maybe that's because you're not paying any attention to the Kisei HaKavod at all. And if you're not paying attention to the Kisei HaKavod, then you're not going to remember Kabbalah Torah, Matan Torah. Why? Because now let's learn what happened at Matan Torah. What happened at Matan Torah? The Medrash says, Bereshis Rabbah, Parsha Samaches Oisir Beis. The meaning of Yaakov's dream. Davar Acher, V'hinei Sulam. What was the ladder that Yaakov Avinu saw? No, don't you want to know? What was the ladder that Yaakov saw? Zes Sinai. The ladder was Har Sinai. What does the ladder got to do with Har Sinai? Oisios Dedain, hu Oisios Dedain. The letters Sinai and the letters Sulam are exactly the same.
Wow.
Huh?
60, 110, 120. It's
What does it mean? They're different letters. Answer the same gematria.
Sinai is 120.
Sulam is 130, and Sinai is 130, right? Sulam, Samach, 60, Lamed, 30, Mem, 40, 130, and Sinai, Samach is 60, Yud is 10, 70, Nun is 50, 120, and Yud. So in other words, yeah, it's 130.
60 is 70.
Plus 50 is 120, plus 10 is 130. You should know. Yeah, look. Sinai,
50 and 60 is 110. Samach and Nun
is 110.
is
And 2 Yuds.
And Yud.
2 Yuds.
Right, 2 Yuds.
Sinai. 2 Yuds. Look. 2 Yuds.
Sinai is with 2 Yuds.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I made a mistake.
V'hinei Malachi Elokim. Who are the angels? Al Shem. Rechev Elokim Riboisayim Alfei Shanan. That at Kabbalah Torah, there were myriads of malachim. So when Yaakov Avinu sees the ladder is Sinai. Who are these malachim? These are the malachim who came to Kabbalah Torah. V'lamadnu lanavim shenikru malachim. And they taught the prophets, who are called malachim. V'chsiv v'yer mechager malach Hashem malachos Hashem lam. Who are the Malachi Elokim? Moshe and Aaron. Oilim, Moshe Allah Elokim. V'yardim, Vayered Moshe. V'hinei Hashem nitzav alav, Vayered Hashem al Har Sinai al Rosh Har. When Yaakov Avinu sees in his dream the ladder is Har Sinai. Who are the Malachi Elokim? Moshe and Aaron. The Malachim go up and down. Moshe goes up to Har Sinai. He comes down on Har Sinai. V'hinei Hashem nitzav alav. Hashem is coming down on Har Sinai. Rabbi say, what does Yaakov's dream have to do with Har Sinai? Think about it. What does Yaakov's dream have to do with Har Sinai? Because we know, what is Yaakov seeing in his dream? According to Rav Shamshon Mashapalya, he's seeing the Kisei HaKavod. Do you know what happened at Har Sinai? Look at number 19. What does the pasuk say? Vayered Hashem al Har Sinai. God came down on Har Sinai. El Rosh Har. What does it mean God came down on Har Sinai? It says Rashi. Look in 20. Malamed Shehirkin Shamayim El Yoinim. God lowered the lower heavens. V'tachtoinim. V'hitzion al Gabe Hahar Kematza Alamita. He spread it on the mountain like he's laying out the sheets. V'yorad Kisei HaKavod Aleim. And he brought the Kisei HaKavod down onto the mountain. So in other words, if Yaakov Avinu is seeing the throne of glory, how do we understand Yaakov Avinu seeing in his dream the throne of glory? Because what's Hashem showing him? Har Sinai. What happened on Har Sinai? Hashem brings the crown of the Kisei HaKavod down onto Har Sinai. So it's not, the Medrash says Yaakov Avinu saw Har Sinai. Rav Shamshon Mashapalya says he saw the Kisei HaKavod, but it's the same thing. Because what happened at Har Sinai? Hashem put the Kisei HaKavod, he parked it on Har Sinai. So Rabbi say, we say Ribono Shel Olam. There's no forgetting before your Kisei HaKavod. No forgetting before your Kisei HaKavod, then you're always going to remember the Chet HaEgel. The Egel's on the Kisei HaKavod. Hashem says, no! I took that off. That's off, that's gone, I removed that. So Klal Yisrael thought, maybe Ribono Shel Olam, maybe you're not paying attention to your Kisei HaKavod. If you're not paying attention to the Kisei HaKavod, the Kisei HaKavod is what reminds you of Matan Torah, because that's what happened at Matan Torah. Hashem says, no, I'm looking at my Kisei HaKavod perfectly. Anochi lo yashkachech. I'm not going to forget Anochi. What's Anochi? Rabbi say, how does Har Sinai start? Har Sinai starts Anochi. Why? Because Hashem says the second time, the Divrei Shniyos, even after the Chet HaEgel, it's still Anochi. It's Ari, Nesher, Krov Yaakov. I forgot about the Egel. Forgot about it. By the way, it's very interesting. The Mishkan is called Mishkan Ha'edos. Why is the Mishkan called Mishkan Ha'edos? Because what was in the Mishkan? The Luchos Ha'edos. Where did the Luchos come from? So look at Rabbeinu B'chai, number 21. V'yadua ki haluchos hayu shosan perinon. The luchos were made out of a special stone. Where do we get the stone from? The loichoi mi kisei hakavod. The luchos were a shtick. It was a piece of God's throne. V'chein matzina b'kisei hakavod. We find by the kisei hakavod kemara even sapir, like the image of the sapphire stone, demus kisei. And the word luchos, if you use the system of atbash, is kisei. Wow. If you take the word luchais, lamid is a chaf, ches is a samach, taf is an aleph. The word luchais with atbash is kisei. Ulakach shchina shoira aleim. God dwelt on the luchais kamay al kisei. Umibnei Shahaluchais loikchai mi kisei hakavod, because the luchais were taken from the kisei hakavod. Nikreis haTorah kavod. The Torah is called kavod. Shenemar kavod chachamim yincholu. You know why chachamim have kavod? Because they have a piece of the kisei hakavod. And you know where your nefesh comes from? V'chein ha-nefesh ha-sichlis sharsha b'kisei hakavod. The soul comes from the kisei hakavod. That's why the neshama is called kavod, like the pasuk says, "Anan yizamercha kavod." V'nafshay shel adam hamisasek b'Torah. The soul of a person who dwells in Torah, zocha lashav l'sharsha, returns to his source. Shenemar Torah Hashem Tzim Hashem Nafs. Rabbi say, unbelievable. You ready? Half love a fella. We know what was the Mishkan called? Mishkan Ha'edos. The pasuk says in Pekudei, Eila Kudei HaMishkan, Mishkan Ha'edos. Why is the Mishkan called, right? Shnei Pam Remez L'Mikdash Shenismashkein B'Shnei Chaban. Or Chazal say the Mishkan was Eidos that Hashem forgave for the sin of the Egal. Rabbi say, how is the Mishkan Eidos that Hashem forgave for the Egal? Because what image was all over the Mishkan? Kruvim everywhere. What are the Kruvim Shah? Hashem said the Kruvim are the replacement for the Shah. Wherever you went in the Mishkan, you have Kruvim on the Arain, you have Kruvim on the Paroiches, you have Kruvim everywhere. The Kruvim are the image. Yecheskel Daven, Ribbanu Shalaylam. I don't want the Shah. Get the Shah off. Remove the Shah. Supplant it, replace it with the Kruvim. The Kruvim represent the child. The Beria Chadasha, that we did Tshuva, and the Rosh Hashem says, I forgot the Egel, but I'll never forget the Kisei. I'll never forget the Kisei HaKavod, and the Kisei HaKavod is Anoichi Hashem Elokecha. I'll never forget my Sisina Rabbi. Agun Shabbos.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.